There's that. Any more people?
Nee, dat is gewoon met de avocados. Niet voor sinaasappel.
It's smart, we can. Right, okay, hi. We're going to start. It's like 5 past, so we might as well. Hello, and welcome to the October edition of the DigitalOcean Amsterdam Meetup here in University Amsterdam. This is the second one of this month. We had one last week on the ADE version, which was good fun, and yeah, here we are again. I'm David. I'm the guy who sends out all the emails. I'm your host. A few people that made this possible. Here is a very serious-looking Valerie. She looks like she might stab someone, but she's normally very friendly. Yes, and there's Sharon and myself. These guys helped me put this on. Hopefully they gave you a name tag. Did everyone get raffle tickets? Yeah, because it's important. Yeah, it all will become clear later. Good news. Yeah, so as you may notice, Hugo isn't here this evening. He couldn't do it tonight, so I'm running the live stream. Valerie, Sharon, and myself, plus maybe a few of the YM team will float around. So if you have any questions, you can always ask us, and we'll sort you out. And yeah, so this is the agenda for tonight. You made it here, so that's good. This is the introduction to the meetup, which is what I'm doing. There is snacks and stuff over there. We've got we one-upped from last week. Last week we had like racist snacks, i.e. the Christmas things. This week we've got chocolate-covered racist snacks. So that's a bonus. Loads of beers and all the other things. So that's good. Yeah, and then we've got 2 speakers tonight. Edward will give us the lowdown on GDPR in DevOps. If you haven't heard of GDPR, it's a massive EU directive that defines how you store and use data. I hope. You're going to tell us all the details. It's going to be huge next year, so you should know about this at some point. Then there is a break, another chance to get a beer. There are loads of beers over there. And you can go to the toilet as well. Toilets are just behind you if you have not noticed. After that, we have Bart, who's going to tell you the story of how his team tracked down rogue call centres to India. I saw this talk at Shah back in August, and I really enjoyed it. So I was like, I have to get him to come to my meetup. So I sent him lots of emails, and that was good. And we can use encrypted emails, which I really love. And that was amazing. Pizzas turned up around 8:45-ish, so that's when you guys have to finish, otherwise people lose interest. So it's a good shout. And you can stay along until the little security guy comes, so like 10:30, 11-ish. Afterwards, yeah, so we have to do a few little house chores. Firstly, in the event of a fire, there hasn't been one for the last year, but you never know, tonight could be the night. You have to calmly go down the stairs. There's a little fire exit over there. Cross the bridge and stand on the other side with a beer and chat, and that's fine. And we'll extinguish all the things. Yeah, so that's really casual. If you hurt yourself, I don't know how, but it could happen. Fall over, getting too excited over the pizzas, who knows. We can patch you up, give you some paracetamol, call an ambulance. Again, this hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to say it anyway. And hopefully we don't need to do either of those, but now you know, so that is good. We have a code of conduct because it outlines how everyone should behave and the protocols that are in place in case somebody doesn't behave. It's just good practice. DigitalOcean is dedicated to providing a harassment-free event experience for everyone, regardless of like gender identity, expression, age, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, religion, or that lack thereof, or technology choices. I've heard that too many times. Nice technology choices. Basically, treat everyone really nicely. We're all the same. We all want to be here to have a good time, and it'll be totally fine. There is a longer version on the Meetup page, so if you want to read it as bedtime reading, it is there for you to have up. If you feel like you can't adhere by this, you want to be mean tonight, then you could leave. But nobody has. One person left. One-time person left, and that was bad. It was fine. If there is an incident, you got to find me or Valerie or Sharon or YM team, and we will deal with it. If you don't want to talk about it, you can tweet about it. I've got all my details on the end slides. You can also contact Samantha. She runs the DigitalOcean meetups globally. All her details for like Twitter and emails are on the last slide. So there are protocols in place. A word from our sponsors. So Your Majesty on the left is the guys who run this building. This is our office. And obviously DigitalOcean, which is their event. They pay for the beers and pizzas. DigitalOcean, there it is, paid for the beers and the snacks. They're the first cloud hosting provider to use solid-state drives everywhere. You can set up a droplet in 55 seconds, and it is doing. And it gives you root access, so you can do more or less anything. And it's the bee's knees. So that's their corporate spiel. It's really simple. It's really great. You don't have to spend any time smashing a laptop up or getting really angry. You can get really angry with it, but it's not them, it's you. And you don't have to worry about setting up servers, so that's nice. And then that means you can do more stuff that you really enjoy. And then Your Majesty, this is us. We're a design and technology firm that powers digital product and brand experiences for the companies you may have heard of, like Netflix, Adidas, Samsung, SmartThings, Spotify, BMW, to name a few. We've got a funky logo that is always animating. I'm not going to do that joke again because I do the same joke every month. We put like massive cubes in various cities across Europe, and we put shoes on the side of them for Adidas. We do 3D horsey games that win awards because people like 3D horsey games. And we do lots of Samsung smart things. We do websites and their apps and their stuff for the TV. Most of you have heard this before because I do the same thing every month, but I need to wrap this up. And then, 2 weeks ago we went to Rome. We had a place that had 2 swimming pools. This is one of them. And yes, we had a great time. Many of the videos we cannot put on the internet because they are offensive to your ears. Because we did karaoke. That's the background. So, but yeah, it was good fun. So that's us. And there is a calendar. We host meetups every month. This month we've done 2, but normally we only do 1. We normally do them on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, and they tend to be centered around like DevOps, web development, and cloud things, but they can do security things as well. DigitalOcean is such a broad platform, we can do quite a lot of stuff, and that's really cool. Essentially, it's just got to be nerd things. I like nerd things, hopefully you like nerd things too, and that's great. Next month we've got Hank Steeman from Amsterdam Internet Exchange. He's coming to tell us how the internet works at a core level. After that, I'm going to try and get Phil Zimmerman. He does PGP. He invented that, and that should be really cool. At the end, in December, on the 30th, which is unlucky for some, we are hopefully going to do a end-of-year special. So we're going to do vaguely testing things. So we have like Bass from GitHub, Mandy from Chef, and then we're going to try and do a big raffle, kind of like tonight, but bigger. This raffle will hopefully have, there's another person, needs to get a raffle ticket. This will have bigger prizes, so things like books and DigitalOcean stuff. I need to sort this out, but that's what I'm thinking. And t-shirts and hoodies and all the things. That's the one you want to go to out of any of them. All the free things. Last but not least, the IT Next people are having a summit on the 15th of November here in Amsterdam, and they wanted to give us 30% off tickets, which is super nice. Tickets are normally like €99, so it's pretty affordable regardless. They gave me like a slide, which I rejigged because it needed the thing in the middle. And they also gave me some spiel to read, which is great. So the focus of IT Next Summit 2017 is to showcase AI, IoT, blockchain, and AR, MR, VR without the hype, overpromises, or misinformation. Developers and engineers will share their code and products built with the technologies with one goal: share, learn, and connect. Although share, learn, and connect are in capitals, so I don't know if I meant to like shout that or something, but anyway. It's a great opportunity to also have a HoloLens workshop. There's 10 great talks and 7 startups with a beta experience area. This gets you 30% off a ticket, so now it's like €79, which is even better. And for the record, IT Next also loves React Amsterdam and DevOps Amsterdam as well as us. So we've got this like polyamorous thing going on, but it's fine. So that's good. which should bring us on to there is more. This is where it gets really exciting. We have a raffle, which is why you have all these pink things. I do not have the raffle bucket. Which I need to get. Okay, so we have a very technical raffle bucket, and I need to like mess them around to make it like random. We don't do technology here. We do simple things. So hopefully everyone has a raffle ticket, including the people who turned up late. Yeah. And I'm going to get people in the audience to pick out a ticket because otherwise they can't blame me for rigging it. It's a very technical process. Okay. Not having luck, so take a photo. Cool. So this one is for, I have other things other than the tickets. I have t-shirts and three or four t-shirts. So who's got number 3? Gotta get number 3 out. Okay. So I got some t-shirts. Your guy's t-shirt. You got grey ones or ones like myself. One like myself, yeah. And then what kind of t-shirt size are you?
Yeah, large.
Or large.
Extra large is fine.
Extra large is fine?
Yeah.
I've got a large.
Oh, perfect.
Large there. There you go, sir. Congratulations.
Nice. Yeah,
nice. Okay. Alright, we've got 3 or 4 of these. Let's do it again. Another person. Who wants to pick this one out? Who gets that? You can't look. Otherwise you pick it right. There we go. Right, this one is 18. Is 18? There he is. We clapping, we should clap. You can have a grey one like this, obviously a man size, or one like myself, it's up to you.
Number 2.
That's fine. Grey one, good stuff. And then what kind of size are you?
Extra large.
Extra large. Extra large in a guy size. Good stuff, congrats. Okay, right. And then we'll do the tickets. We've got 2 of these. First one, this guy. Number 36. 36. 36. 36 actually here. Oh. Are you 36? Hooray, congrats. So you get one of those. So here's your tickets to get in. And then I'm also going to give you a t-shirt because we did DigitalOcean, we'll give you t-shirts. Would you like a t-shirt like myself or a grey t-shirt like the guy just did? Grey one, and then what kind of size are you? M. M. That's for you?
Thanks.
Good stuff. And one last one. We've got one more to go. Okay, right, and last but not least, it is 2, the second man. This guy. Look at that. You get one of those, and then a t-shirt as well.
Yeah, it's the blue one, the biggest one you got.
Blue one, the biggest one I got. Like an extra large.
Yeah.
That's for you. Congrats. Okay, right. That was very exciting. We're going to do the same thing again, as I say, in December, but bigger. So that will be really exciting. Yeah, I was thinking about getting books. Everyone loves books for Christmas. I'll wrap them up. I'm going to get in touch with O'Reilly or a book apart to get technical things. I was thinking about getting like technical things from DigitalOcean, like maybe a year's free subscription. I'll try these things. I can't guarantee it, but I'll try. And of course, we will throw in more t-shirts and maybe even a hoodie, which is pretty cool. So yes, you need to be in it to win it, and come in December. I really appreciate feedback on the meetup. If you guys have anything to say, you can tweet with the DO meetup thing on all the Twitters, and I will try and find it. There's me in a boat on a unicorn in Rome. That's in one of the swimming pools. And Samantha, that's what she looks like from the side. She doesn't have many photos on the internet, so that's the one I've got. You can send her tweets, you can send her nice things, or say, you know, that it was a terrible meetup and tell her horrible things. She also has an email address, samantha@digitalocean.com, and you can send her whatever you fancy. And that is more or less it, I think. If you've got anything else to say, you can put it on the event wall. So that's all good. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions? No, that's good news. Good stuff. Right, I'm going to leave the floor over to Edward. And I did have a thing here that said all the nice things about Edward. Yeah, let's try and find it. Can I find it? I really should have prepared this earlier. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. Okay, so yes, Edward bought his first computer in the 80s, which is quite a long time ago. A Commodore 64 apparently. That's where his passion for computers began. In the late 80s, he started his career as a COBOL programmer in mainframes and mini-systems. He later developed software in C and C++ for PCs. In 2006, he swapped to QA with roles like a tester, test manager, and a QA manager. In these roles, he discovered that most product owners are focused on functionality and not performance and security. Edward started a security team within his organization, which he was working for. He is currently fulfilling roles as a CISO and DPO at Radvan State. Is that how you pronounce it?
Council of States.
Okay. He is coaching Scrum teams to get more and better security and privacy requirements and awareness in place. So that's great. He is a certified ethical hacker and a certified information privacy manager.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And yeah, as I said earlier, he is going to come and talk to us about GDPR. So we shall get you set up, and then we'll do more things.
Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff. Hopefully it'll work just like it did when we tried it earlier.
It's working.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Check. Okay. GDPR and EPR. Ever heard of those abbreviations?
No.
GDPR? No, never heard of. Okay. GDPR, I suppose. EPR? Not yet. Okay, that's good. I'll explain later on what is and what the impact is on the developers and operations. And make some requirements from them. Some extraction of the law, because it's a law and you cannot translate it to what should you do. That's when you develop software and so on and so on. So I translated one. Okay. This is what I'm going to tell about things. The difference between privacy and security and the relation between those two, because there is a relation. The most relevant articles in the GDPR, what's relevant for DevOps. Some articles I will explain some ramp up, and I have some reference material, so you can later on look up yourself some interesting stuff. That's what I got to do. So, okay, GDPR. What's in it for you? Why is it important? Well, let me first explain the privacy. You have several classes of privacy. First of all, one is this bodily privacy. So it means that you in this area, no one. This is your own privacy from your body, 1/2 meter or something like that. There's one rule in privacy, one territory. Then you have this about properties of territorial privacy, your house and so on, what you can do and what's not allowed. There's one area. And the third area is about communication. There's also some privacy related to this one. And the last one is about data. And so personal data. And GDPR is about this personal data, not about the other three. So it's good to know that it's only about personal data, so stored on paper, electronic version, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it's about personal data. Name, address, well, some other stuff. Yeah, I will come on later with that one. Then we got this hiccup.
No.
Oh, it's
Is that you? No.
plug out, plug in. Oh, it's okay, so it's good. Okay, no. Don't move. Okay. There's 25th of May of 2018 is a real, it's an important date. Why is it important? Anyone know?
Kickoff day.
Kickoff date, yeah. Well, that date it should be active. This is the last date it should be active. It is already active. This law is already 2 years ago, in 2016, 20th of May of 2016. We are now in a period that you can swap from the old situation to the new situation. In Holland, for example, the GDPR need to be confirmed by the government, and they're working on this. They call it the law for implementation of the GDPR, and that's well, we're still discussing about it. 25th of May 2018, this law is well for everyone in Europe. So you can't hide it; it will be there. I'll give you some first aid about it. Okay, so what is it? Okay, GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation. The general law. Data protection, that's the, I think, the European version for information privacy. So in America they have another, they call it a bit different, but we call it data protection. Personal data protection, I should say. It's for all citizens of the EU, so everyone who's living here, or is born there, is replacing an old directive. And it's not a law, that's, yeah, well, it's good common sense how it should work. It's from 1995, so it should be updated. Internet at that time, well, it was coming up. In that time, I had my first internet connection with CompuServe. Maybe some people know that one. So this smartphones, we didn't have it. So that kind of stuff. So there was not a law, and every country in Europe made its own law based on this directive. And of course, there were a lot of differences. If you now should implement privacy rules, so you have to see what country it is, and there are conflicts in between. So it's really it's not helping. So it was the GDPR is to harmonize the privacy laws in the EU. So that's easy, one law, and that's, well, everyone is happy. There's one exception, or there's some exceptions. From some articles, countries can choose some distinguish. For example, you can say a child is 16 years old or a child is 13 years old. Every country can choose that one for themselves. So there will be some slight differences, but that should not be that big. So then we have one law in the EU. That's very useful. But there are some countries like Germany. They have something with the Second World War. They have this really, very tight privacy law in Germany. So they have to change their what's it called? Well, there are other laws. So it's really it's really hard, difficult, but they will do it. GDPR is also updates on new technology like smartphones, mobile devices, profiling, something what was not in before. So there are new things. Profiling, I think, everyone is doing it. I think when you make websites or whatever. So that's in place. There's a possibility of certification. So that means that brand users can make a certification program, and organizations get GDPR proof or whatever. So this is really something that will be in the future. So the GDPR has this possibility. So there are 99 articles about rights and obligations. About 50% is about really how it works in Europe, and a few have technical impact. I said from about 6 or so have really technical impact, so I'll focus on this one. So I made a mind map of GDPR. Well, you can read it, of course, in the back. Most important thing, you see we'll make them a bit red. There's a few articles which are interesting for us. So I'll explain them. The most important thing, I should make a recap of it. If you don't have personal information, you can't lose it or leak it. So that's the main thing. This is the real law. If you don't have it, you don't have to worry. So don't collect. That's the main thing. But if you do so, if you collect the personal data, guard it with your life. So make really that you take good security measures to secure this personal data. So I like this one because well, if you don't have nothing, you can't lose it, right? Okay, so that's in short. Okay, let's go to privacy and security. Anyone knows the difference between those two? The relationship? I'll try to explain. Personal data. Personal data is any information relating to or identified or identifiable of a natural person. So any information that you can identify a natural person, that is personal data. And that can be, well, we have more and more of this information, so this list will be getting longer and longer. It's not only name, email address or whatever, there's also a number of your mobile device or whatever, so it can track you down. Or license plates from your car, for example. So there can be personal data as well. Okay, so there's personal data, and within personal data you have special categories. You're allowed to use personal data, because those special categories is not allowed. It's forbidden, and only in some cases you are allowed to. For example, racial or race or ethical origin. That is something you're not allowed to register it, but government should do it, for example, for some reasons. Political opinions, religious beliefs, or your sexual orientation, or that kind of stuff, you're not allowed to collect this information. Or criminal offenses or whatever, that kind of stuff. So a special category. This should be, if you have it for some reason, for example, in a hospital, you need some information about health, right? So, but you should give some extra security measure on that. So it's not allowed to. Well, you should secure it. Okay, that's the special categories. Then you, of course, if you have personal data, you have non-personal data, and that's the rest. For example, if you have a company who is making food for animals, they have a recipe that's very important for the company. They will secure it, but it's not personal data, right? It's only it's important for the company, but it's not about people. So that's the rest. If you compare, okay, so it's about natural persons. So with this kind of people, dead people is not personal data, right? If people died, it's not a natural person anymore. So then this law is not valid for these people. It's something to be aware. Okay. How is it built up? If you know the values and the principles of those law, you don't need to read it all, but if you know the principles, you can, well, there's some guides how you should do, what you should do, what's allowed and what's not allowed. These are the principles for the privacy principles. Collection limitation, so don't collect if you don't need to, as minimum as possible. Data quality, for example, is also important, that the data, if you have data of a person, it should be up to date. Outdated, should to check quality of the data. Purpose specification, you should say what's the goal of this collection of this information, what do you use it for, so that needs to be transparent to the person. And there's another one, security safeguards. There's one principle of privacy, so it's about you should, of course, take security measures. But security, if you look from a security perspective, it's more than only privacy, right? It's also about some other data. There's my thing about this company that makes food for animals. Recipe is also something they want to put security on. So that's the relation between the two. So you can have security without privacy, this part, normal data. But if you have security, you need privacy. So if you have privacy information, then you should do security, right? Okay, that's the relation between those two. Any questions so far? Okay. The most relevant articles of GDPR. Well, this is one article 4 is about definitions. There's a definition about profiling, what it is. So it's good to know what they say. Okay, what's profiling? So for if you make some stuff in your application or website or whatever to track some people, some things, understanding what it is. I'll come on it later on. Pseudonymization. It means if you have data and you don't need it anymore, you can get rid of the name and so on, but you can still see that it was a person, but you can't, and you make it that you can't identify the person anymore. Also come back on that one. Another one is right to be forgotten. I'll come back on that one later on as well. Profiling and so I'll explain this later on. Okay, data protection by design and default. There's some difference between those two. By design means that you think it of upfront before you're going to build some software that you think about privacy. And one is that by default, that if you make a selection of privacy, the default setting is that they have the most privacy protection. That should be the case. So that's in those laws. So you should, if you design software, you should take this in account. Okay, this is the article. Well, you can read it. I made some. I made a short abbreviation, summary of it. Most important thing is that you take into account state of art, the cost of the implementation. So it's not, you don't have to top of the bill things, but you should be reasonable. So that what kind of measures you take. They say implement appropriate technical and organizational measures, such as pseudonymization. That's the one thing that comes several times back in this GDPR. So pseudonymization is a good thing. It's a good, simple way to protect people. Because if you get rid of names and addresses and so on, it will not have to protect anymore. Another one is data protection principle, data minimization. So it means that you collect less as possible. That's also one thing. On the other hand, marketeers and so on, the people in management, they want to collect as much as possible, right? So this always should take this in account. Okay. By the way, the slides I sent it forwarded to David so he can send it up in PDF format so you can read those things afterwards. Yeah. All right. Because otherwise you throw it down or make whatever. So you can look it up later on. Privacy by design and security by design, well, that means that you shift left in your software development. I have here the waterfall thing, but I think it's still useful. It means that privacy by design or security by design, that you come up with security and privacy requirements. Who of you has security requirements or privacy requirements? Sorry?
Who has requirements?
We have some requirements, yeah. And can you use them?
We get more and more security and privacy requirements.
Yeah. It's well, I see a lot of lack of this kind of requirements, or they are very high level, and it's not useful. Good requirements, good testing, good code review, that kind of things. penetration testing or privacy testing is also a thing. There's something new, I think, technical privacy test. I invented myself, so how to look into from a privacy perspective and how things are built and so on. So that's really, I think, new. That's kind of. Sorry? Yeah, for me, it's about, for example, database. What did you do on the database on the field level? Did you encryption on the field level or that kind of thing? Because you can't, you have to.
Yeah, but that's a crystal box kind of test.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. I need information. Yeah, of course. You can't do it from outside. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, that gives some clue if because most of the data protection officers in organizations have backgrounds in lawyers or that kind of stuff. So and they don't come up with really good technical requirements.
Yeah, but you could also just look at a form and think, well, why do I have to fill this out?
Yeah, there's several things, but yeah, there are some technical things on it, and it's a bit a mixture of pen testing as well. There's some things of pen testing is related. It's a bit, but also I look at privacy statements on the website, for example, and reading what's there, and then comparing what's in the application. Is it does it fit? Yeah, so there's several things. It's not always technical. You're right. Okay, and also in operations you can do some things, of course, on this. But in DevOps, yeah, well, then because the other one was more waterfall, you're also testing a lot of everywhere. So you should also do security and privacy testing on every spot. So in architecture, in coding, and so on. So you should do that on every spot. Okay. Data protection by design and by default. I give some examples. I made up these requirements myself, so maybe you have some extra or new, better ones or whatever. Please send them to me afterwards. I collect them. So, for example, for every epic or use story, the impact of privacy should be judged by the DPO, Data Protection Officer. Who of you has a data protection officer in his organization? Wow. Okay. Are those big big organizations or small organizations with a lot of personal data which is processed? That's okay. Well, so if you don't have it, well, you can't do it now. There's a difficulty, of course. But okay. Another one. For example, technical privacy analysis should be done before something is going to production or that kind of stuff, or an automated security test is successfully executed and has no defects of categories critical and high, or something like that. This kind of things are maybe more for definition of done or that kind of stuff. Who of you has this kind of requirements? Yeah? Okay. Right to be forgotten. This one, it's a hard one, I think. But I'll show you. Right to be forgotten. This text, there's a lot of text, you see. What does it say? You as a person has the right that your data, your personal data is deleted, removed permanently without undue delay. So this, you can request, delete my data from your database. Who has a script or whatever function that can do that? Oh, it's okay. Yeah, delete all, drop all. It can drop table. It's also one, is of course. Yeah, that will double help. But that's something that, yeah, well, that should be, this function should be in your system, that you can delete from one person his data. Of course, there's some rules. If someone ordered a product and is delivered and is an invoice, then there is, of course, another law that says, at least in Holland, that you should save this information, this invoice, for at least 7 years for tax reasons. So that there are some limitations, of course. But if someone asks for delete my data, you should do it immediately. Or when the data is not needed for the original purpose. There's going to be a reason. So if you don't need it, this data anymore, just get rid of it. So I think there will be a lot of cleaning scripts coming up in the systems. Or when someone says, well, withdraw my permission. So that's also a reason that you delete this data. Or object, or even if you're unlawfully processing this information, there's also a reason that you should delete this information. Some reasons.
Question.
Yeah.
For complying this law, does anonymization also comply with this rule?
Yeah. Come later on this one. You can of course delete it. If you can also, if you need it for statistic information, for example, you can get rid of name and address, but you can still that there was a person, or you can, for example, say, well, he's not born on this date, but he was born in this year. You can do some stuff on that one to get rid of this information. That's an option. That's an option that you can do. Yeah, right. I come back on the later one. Some requirements. On the requested data, including, well, if someone requests it, you should also take log files, for example, entries in log files, for example, get rid of it, because you need to delete all this information. Backups, that's a hard one, right? Backup from a year ago, delete Mr. X from it, it's impossible, I think. It's really, I was in September last year, not this year, but in 2016, I was in London, conference with a lot of people talking about this GDPR. A lot of lawyers, by the way, in this room, and they said, "Well, you should do it." And all the people that have some IT background, they said, "Well, it's impossible. You can't delete it."
But I did it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was already there. So we're discussing. Any question?
What if the person who asks to delete the data has still a reference to the company on the date where the log files are? So someone asked to delete this information.
Yeah.
But last year, for instance, he had a connection to the company, so he had to pay the bills. So he's
yeah, there's some reasons. But the DPO should judge if it is allowed or not allowed to delete this. And I think that I make this easy because that is more complex than this one. Of course, there's some reasons why you can't delete it because there are the other laws that prohibit you to do so. So it's very balanced in that one. But you should have some if you have some profile from, for example, so dating site or whatever, someone has a profile, and you have the ability to delete everything of this person. But think about emails. For example, there's a job from the company. I send an email with my CV, resume, and then I get an interview or whatever, and then say, well, you're not the person. They will delete maybe my resume from the network, from the what's called hard drive or whatever. But what about the email? There's something really, we will forget a lot of things where data is stored. So there's something really about spreadsheets or whatever. So extraction of databases. What about that? It's really hard to do so. So a lot of data which you're not aware of in the organization. So it's really hard to do so.
But who's going to check it?
There is an authority. Yeah, well, if you because now there's one thing, you should delete it and you should prove that you have deleted it.
You can only delete your own, right?
You can only delete your own, yeah, but email would have something. So there are some things really email will send out to other organizations. Of course, you can't say, well, get rid of it.
How can they prove that you knew about some things you forgot?
Yeah, exactly. This really is hard, but
The gray area.
yeah, exactly. So that's how I say it's technical, not possible. Of course, you should. I think the most important thing is that you should do your best. Yeah, show that you have done everything, all the what was in your power. So that's not the most important thing. But this the biggest risk on this one is unstructured data. There's really emails, spreadsheets, or whatever. That's really, yeah, you can't control it, I think. So that's one thing.
Emails might not be personal data, right?
They can contain, they can contain, yeah, exactly. That's very, yeah, because it's unstructured data. You can't see what if someone is saying. Well, I get some illness or whatever in plain text in the email. it's personal data because it's about the health. So it's also a special category. So it's really hard. Yeah, but okay.
Don't email us about your health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, the best thing is have to structure data and so on. So not too much comment. Question?
Aren't you also obliged to save at least their request from you?
Yeah, then you still have the data, right? Yeah. Yeah, but there's the request, so you knew that it was the person was there. Yeah, all right. Yeah, this nice, eh? The law. It's really nice one. Yeah, there are some things, but yeah, about your systems. Well, you need to make some procedures or whatever to get rid of this data. I think that's the best. 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, we have to speed up. This is about your Marcus. So this is the answer on your question. Option not deleted, but anonymize. Anonymize this information. Yeah. Well, I skip this one then because this they can read later on these requirements. I think that's the most important thing. I will go to the next one. Profiling. This is the text. The most important thing is about automated processes of personal data, and the purpose we use for is about performance at work, about person's health, whatever, personal preferences, that kind of stuff. So if you use this information for this kind of goals, that's profiling in this one. Okay. About cookies, it's also about we use it for profiling and so on. So something that will come back on later on because there's some other thing important about this one, about cookies. Pseudonymization, this is an option. Review is using that one. Pseudonymization of data, getting rid of names and addresses and so on. Okay, a few. Okay. Most important thing is that you can no longer attribute to a specific data subject, what this is called in the law, this a person, so that you don't address it anymore.
So if that's the case, then you don't need to apply to other strict rules.
No, exactly, because if you get rid of the data, the address and the date of birth and that kind of stuff.
But what if you have IDs and birthdays, like specific birthdays, but you can directly sort of couple the ID to a person?
Yeah.
What does that?
But yeah, the most important thing is that you can't identify the person anymore. You can track down the person. But for that's something, yeah, that should be aware. It's not really except what's good or what's bad. But it's written in this way in the law. Okay. Some other ones. I will skip this one then because of the time. Security of processing. There's also an article about if you're processing data, you should do on security. And what they say about it. I will come on this one. Yeah, nice. A lot of text, right? Best is pseudonymization is good and quick and easy way of getting compliant to the GDPR. Encryption of personal data. So there's also something, but be aware of data in rest and data in transfer. So there's something you should take care of. Yeah, and other some things you should take measures that you for accidental or unlawful destruction, loss, alteration, and that kind of thing. So you should take. Sorry.
Why destroy the data? More data.
If it was accidental, then you have an issue. If you, yeah, the thing is, the law says if you lose data of a person or your whatever, if your the hard drive is corrupted or whatever, you can't get this information. That's also a data leak, because you can't get to the data anymore, which you had before. Yeah, you should take care of it. So you need to have backup so that you can restore this information. So really,
To be able to delete
yeah, to delete afterwards. Yeah, so but it's really, yeah. Now, this is about information. If you have the information of the person, you should be up to date and should be accessible. As long as you need it, and afterwards you should get rid of it. It's really, yeah, nice. Yeah, it's about law. Yeah. Ja, exactly. Precies, exactly. Logging, where do we use it for? Where do you use it for? Logging, debugging. Yeah, right. This one. Another one is about monitoring of system. Right. It's if it is hard drive full or whatever. But also you can use logging to address behavior of people. That's another kind of logging. This kind is you should protect. You can use it, for example, for forensics logging. What was done done someone that kind of thing. And in security operation centers is also used as log files. So, but the most important thing about log files is that you don't have personal data in log files. If it's not needed, don't put it in log files, because that's always something that's getting around systems and whatever, and be aware of it. You get data out of the database, but you can still in your log files. So if you don't have it there, this will be very fine. I will skip this one as well. This afterwards I will show it. There's another one, the e-privacy regulation. Ever heard of it? EPR, GDPR. Everyone is screaming about. This one is still a proposal, and they want to have it also active on 25th May of 2018. The same as the GDPR, because it's aligned. The e-privacy regulation was the old telecom for telecom companies, and they changed it now also for they call it on top over the top organizations like Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, because they're not telco, but there's information, communication going in this application. So it is also impact. So if you have a chat program or whatever, you probably have to go to deal with this new law. And this is also a law. The other one was a directive, so it was okay. If you should do it this way, this is now a law. So it's really a thing. So I told you GDPR is about this one. The e-privacy is going about this kind of thing, communication. There's several new things. I took this from the EU website, so you can read over there. It's about new players, not only telcos, but also Facebook Messenger, Skype, WhatsApp, and so they also now catch with this law. Before they were not involved, now they have this new law. So they have to change some things, especially if they want to get this law in 25th May 2018. They have to do a lot of work, I think, about that. Stronger rules, and also more aligned in EU. So before there was some different laws in every country. We have now one for EU, so that's okay. It's about the content of the communications, but also about the metadata. So the metadata, I think, for example, the NSA or whatever, they don't look at the content of the communication, but who is communicating with who. That's more important. The metadata is more important than the communication itself most of the time, because you can see the behavior and that kind of stuff. So that also should be protected as well.
Does this effectively kill the slave web?
Yeah, that's some other thing. This is some other. Yeah, it's all getting.
Is the government allowed to bypass these rules?
Yes, because that's if they see CISO for terrorism or that kind of thing, safety, that is they can bypass it. Yeah. But it gives also new opportunities. For example, it could help us develop new infrastructure projects. Could see who is going where, whatever. So they get some extra new opportunities. I'll skip this one. And about cookies. This law is also about cookies. And the good thing is, this is not getting more strict, but more open. You can make a distinguish between cookies that you use for personal data and cookies about behavior, visiting, how much people are on the website, and that kind of thing. So that's more allowed. And the other thing is so non-personal cookies, that will be that's okay. You can use it as much as you want. Another thing is that the browsers will, now you have these banners, cookie banners, you will get rid of it, because you can, the law says if you have a browser, you should get a setting, I want no cookies, and your application, well, the browser should block it. So that's a good thing. So we get rid of all these cookie banners on the website. So that's one. That's at least something that will help us, I think. 2 minutes? Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. We'll make it. We'll make it. Also, the protection against spam. So that's also helpful. So I think there are good things in it in this law. So that's the last one about this law. So this new, it's still it's a proposal. It's not there, but if they agree, it will go very fast. But I don't think that it will make it 25th May of 2018 because there's still some questions going on about this. And more enforcement because it's get more higher fines and so on. Okay. If you just short wrap up. Classification, personal data. You have just personal data, non-personal data, and so you need to be aware of it. Encryption of personal data in REST and transmit is also something you should be aware of. So delete personal data and delete permanent. So get rid of it as well, or optional anonymization. And you should be also know who should access which data. So need to know the kind of principles you should design in your application. Also one logging. That's something important, and don't use production data in test environments. Who of you is doing it? Production data in test environments? Okay. Real-time test in production, but don't test in production. It's illegal. In this law, it's not allowed. Okay. So this one is important. So don't collect. Then you're okay. If you have it, to do safety, and that's it. I have some reference materials as well, with some things about GDPR itself, privacy measures, some things, some risks, so some other, I think, related stuff. And also for the EPR, where the proposal of text and some fact sheets. That's also good. It just gives you some good information about it. It will be helpful, I think, so that you know what's coming up. Okay. That's it. That's me. If you want to have contact. Okay, finished.
Right. Well, yeah, seems like it's very complicated. And
it's yes and yes and no. But if you get the sheets, I think that you get some information about it. If you have questions, please come up and I can send you information.
You're hanging around all evening.
Yes, I will.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
till I'm kicked off. Okay,
Yeah,
kicked out. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to skip questions because we kind of did it on the way through.
Yeah.
And also we'll lose it on pizza. You can grab
Edward
between pizza slices.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, I will put the slides and the live stream up on the internet. I'll send you guys an email so you can reference back to it and send emails for questions. We're going to have like a 2 or 3 minute break and then we're going to go straight into the next one. Okay.
Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, that's great. Thanks for that.
Yes, okay. You're welcome.
I feel like you could talk for hours.
I guess for the hours, yeah, but yeah, it's good that you can share the slides because there's information they can read.
Exactly,
it's nothing.
And people can go back for all of it.
No, exactly. That's a lot of stuff.
You have to like delete backups
Yeah,
and things like that.
Can I ask you a question already?
Yeah.
Is it really...
Nederlands? Kan ook Nederlands, maar
Ja, je geeft aan dat de situaties beoordeeld zouden moeten worden door de officer, privacy officer. Is dat echt een wettelijke eis of is dat een interpretatie?
Dat is wel een interpretatie. Als je niet hebt, is het niet verplicht.
Nee, ik zit meer met het free lines of defense eigenlijk, waarbij je die verantwoordelijkheid gewoon teruglegt in de business.
Ja,
en als privacy officer zit in de tweede lijn.
Ja. Ik ben in ieder geval, we zouden wel iets moeten
Ja. Precies.
I can translate for you.
Okay, the big thing with this one is the audio.
Yeah.
That is
That's really important.
check.
Ja, als eerste verantwoordelijk, maar goed, de lijnen moeten wel uitgezet worden.
Oh, yeah.
Ja, dat is bij mijn school, maar ja, waar is ik ben bezig met een opleiding IT audit aan de VU en dat is ook er was de CIO van UWV. Daar waar
Yeah, I think if I put it in presentation mode, it should be.
Ja, het is wel eigenlijk verantwoordelijk. Is het een CIO?
Do you want to try out the audio one more time?
Dat is mijn plan.
Just in case it doesn't work.
In eerste instantie de business. Ja, ja, ja. Ja.
Put it on like the.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I don't.
Word je de komende tijd iemand in de buurt van mij?
Ja, het kan ook een verdienmodel zijn. Hè? Dus nou, het begint met een beoordeling, maar op een gegeven moment duw je het
Michelle, I'll do an introduction and then yeah. Right, I think we have to do fairly quickly because
Doe jij ook consultancy en dat soort dingen? Ja. Oké, ja. Ja, ik heb je contact ja, dat, ja, dat is ook goed. Ik heb een kaartje ben ik vergeten, zo gewoonlijk. Maar ja, wat ik ben geïnteresseerd om eens een keer te kijken. We zijn bezig met een groot healthcare project. Ja, we zijn keystrokes aan het loggen en dat soort dingen, maar wel geanonimiseerd. En eigenlijk ook alle data is niet echt teruggeleid op mensen, omdat alles is op ID gebaseerd. En dat is niet het is bijna niet terug te koppelen. Het zijn eigen gegenereerde ID's, maar dus alleen bijvoorbeeld een arts kan dan weten wie is bijvoorbeeld, dus wij weten dat niet. Maar ik vraag me dan af hoe dat bij ons zit en of wij ook want dan doe je ook Amazon services bekijken bijvoorbeeld. Veilig dat. Ja. Ja, precies. Ja. Ja, oké. Dus als we dat een keer zouden willen zien, kunnen we gewoon daarover contact hebben. Hoeveel vragen brengen. Maar ja, dat is vooral een klantenveld eigenlijk. In de DevOps en zo. Ja, als we een keer een paar uur daar en zo zeggen, nou, kom een keer langs, kijken hoe we het doen en dan kijken of we daar mooie, goed ja, nou, dat het heel lastig is om precies te zeggen, ja, daar voldoen we aan of niet, omdat het is of niet, maar niet helemaal, weet je wel. Dus we hebben ook data, dat soort dingen, maar het is niet echt teruggeleid op een persoon, dus weet je wel, ja,
right. I'm going to start again, I think.
My question was whether it has to do with that, or you might need to check for
Right, okay, yeah, after a super quick break, we've now got Bart. I saw his talk at SHA and I really enjoyed it, so here he is. Bart holds a position as Principal Cybersecurity Consultant and is responsible for the managed CRT and pen testing services at Northwave. Finding the weaknesses in a network of Northwave's customers and hunting down hackers in customer networks are the most important part of his daily job. Before making the switch back to private sector, he worked as a senior security specialist in govert.nl and the National Security Cyber Center between 2011 and 2016. So he should know security things.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, so we're going to go straight into it.
Right.
The floor is yours. Hopefully the sound works.
Yeah.
And if everyone could give them a warm welcome, that'd be great.
Thank you all. So this talk is about one of the side projects we did at Nordwave when we weren't testing the security of our customers or helping them getting rid of some hackers in their networks. So we like to call it Operation Bollywood, and it's all about the Microsoft scams you probably all heard of. So this presentation will be fun, but there's also a very serious side note because in 2015, Microsoft estimated that 3.3 million people in the US alone became victim of this Microsoft call center scam, resulting in $1.5 billion of damages. And this year, this news item came up, the Dutch police warning for the Microsoft scam, and they saw in 2016 they saw 1,100 reports, and only in the first half of this year they already got 800 reports. So the problem is getting bigger really, and these are only the cases that are actually being reported to the police. You can imagine that there are a lot of cases that aren't really reported. People don't take the effort to go to the police. So it's probably a lot higher, the number of victims. So we saw this news at Northwave, and we also knew some people that were also being called by these Microsoft scammers. So we thought, okay, this needs to stop. So we thought, okay, we're going to scam the scammers, really. So that's our plan, basically, and then in the end, we'll have justice. So that was the basic plan. So the actual plan, so here's our fire guy on the left. So the actual plan looked like this. So our idea was, okay, we are going to call some of these scammers. Then we'll go along in the process, make sure we are being scammed along the way. And we came up with a fake banking website because they always want you to make some kind of payment. So we built our own banking website. It's called Max Bank. So if you refer to letters of Max, you get Scam Bank. That's just really fun. And in this Max Bank website, we built in some tricks. We had the Beef browser exploitation framework. We also tried to collect some personal data during the payment process. It would be like, okay, you are going to do a payment to this Microsoft call center, and now we need all kinds of personal details of the person you want to send the money to, and then start asking more and more details of a scammer, and then figuring out where they are located, and well, uncovering the criminal call center. So that was basically the idea. Scammer needs to verify his details, make sure he visits the Scam Bank of Max Bank website himself, determine his IP address and location somehow, and then, well, in the end, profit or justice. So this was our basic plan, but yeah, it didn't really work because we didn't really know what numbers to call, and it turned out to be really difficult to find the phone numbers of these call centers. And so we basically already failed, well, at step one of our plan, call some of these scammers. And we were able to find some phone numbers online, and we actually tried some of these call centers. A lot of the phone numbers didn't even work. The one that did work were answered by, well, a call center. Some of them even said they were a Microsoft call center. And but when we started talking, we said, okay, we have a problem with our computer. Could you please help us? They got really suspicious, and they were even asking questions. Are you FBI or so? They obviously aren't really used to people calling them. So the business model of these scammers is that they call the people. But that's really difficult, because here we are with our great plan, and then we have to wait for ages before we're getting called by the scammer. So that's was really an issue. So we put our project in the fridge for a little bit, but then the journalist at Tros Opgelicht came along. Tros Opgelicht, for the non-Dutch people, it's a TV show that's all about scams. So Opgelicht basically means scammed in Dutch. And this is a weekly TV program. They had a series of specials on cybercrime, and actually 1.5 million viewers are watching this show. It's really a lot of people for such a small country as the Netherlands. And we teamed up with these journalists of Tros Opgelicht, and during their show they asked the viewers to help us out in this project. I have a little clip.
Al vaker was het te zien in Opgelicht, de Microsoft medewerkerstruc. Deze truc wordt nog steeds veelvuldig gebruikt. En daarom vragen we uw hulp om de mensen erachter te ontmaskeren. Inderdaad, word je de komende tijd gebeld door iemand die beweert van Microsoft te zijn en de mededeling doet dat je een virus hebt, hang dan niet meteen op. Vraag of ze de dag daarna terug willen bellen en neem daarna direct contact op met ons. Mail naar opgelicht@avrotros.nl en wie weet help je ons deze oplichters te ontmaskeren.
So the plan we came up with together with this journalist is what we like to call internally the scammer reflection attack. So there's the call center again on the left side. So the call center calls one of their victims, and then the victim would say to the call center employee, "Oh, please call me back tomorrow." And then in the meantime, the victim would call Tros Opgelicht, and Tros Opgelicht would say, "Okay, what you need to do tomorrow if they call back, give them this phone number," and that was a phone number of Northwave. So that's really a reflection attack to make sure that we were getting all the calls of these scammers. And that turned out really better than we could imagine. So it turned out to be the scammer denial of service attack. We were getting like 4 or 5, 6 calls a day during, well, a couple of weeks. We didn't even have the time to speak to all of them. But in the end, we've spoken to about 4 or 5 different call centers. It also was a very time-consuming process because they are really thorough. So one call takes at least an hour. And that's only if you say yes to every question they ask. So that took a lot of our time. But in the end, we gained some really nice insights on how these call centers operate. I will show you guys some of the highlights of the things we've seen. Basically, they all follow a 3-step process. Step 1 is the remote access toolkit. So they all did this. So we saw various toolkits, but they all wanted to, the first step would be that they install some kind of remote access tool on your computer. So we saw Log Me In, we saw TeamViewer, we also saw call centers that create their own custom website that we need to visit to download their remote control software. I will show a fragment of a screen capture we've made. So we've made screen capture of all the conversations and stuff we had with these criminals. This one is very interesting. Take a look at the way that the connection has been set up, and I've only have the audio of the scammers side of the connection, so you don't hear me talking. But well, they were talking well non-stop, so that doesn't really matter much. It was an audio recording thing, so we only have one side of the connection. And in this phase, we are already 10 to 15 minutes into the call, and we are already have been transferred to a senior technician the Microsoft call center. So you have like a first line of employees that just well, figure out if you're going to fall for the scam or not, and as soon as they start noticing that you're actually going to fall for the scam, then you well, we will transfer to a senior technician. So well, let's see what happens.
Yes, hello. Yes, sir. Thank you for being on hold. This is Sherry Williams, and I'm the senior supervisor out here. How are you doing today, sir? Okay. And sir, can you just confirm me the ID number of Supremo? 023, then, yeah, okay, 931. And sir, can you just leave the control of the mouse and the keyboard? Because sir, we are directly connecting you with the main server of the Microsoft, okay? And everything will be done automatically by the machine, okay? So you have to just wait, okay? Because sir, whenever you browse to the internet, at that moment of time, some non-secure hidden infection get automatically download in your computer without your knowledge and without your permission. And these non-secure hidden infection making your computer run slower as well as your internet management system, okay? And sir, have you ever noticed that your computer is working slow from last couple of days? Yeah, just because of infection, sir. Okay, just because of infections, and that is why these things are happening in your computer. Because whenever your computer has been downloaded these types of problems, these are all online hidden infections, okay, which are making your computer run slower as well as your internet management system. And just because of these kind of files, you are facing problem. And if you think that these are the normal infections, sir, these are not. These are all unwanted malicious files which is allowing the other people to get inside in your computer, okay? And just because of these kind of infections, sir, you are facing problem, okay? But no need to worry, sir, because right now you got successfully connected with the main server of Microsoft. And sir, I would like to ask, what language do you understand properly, like English or Dutch?
So all right, okay. So what we saw over here, so that we installed the Supremo remote control software, and then in next step, when they had control over our system, they went to this, well, the same website, and also downloaded the TeamViewer remote control software. It's basically two types of software that are doing the same kind of thing, and then they made a connection back to their own system. I still don't know why they did that, but well, yeah. We can, well, we will make use of that later. So now that the connection has been set up, and they, well, already told us that there are all kinds of problems with our computer, well, there are going to be more problems, of course. I will show you some of the highlights. The first is the case of the 12 hackers, and as you already mentioned, they asked us which language do we understand correctly. They even have a sort of translation service. I, well, told them that I well, speak English and understand English, but they still well, did the effort to translate everything in Dutch as well.
So right now, what we will do, sir, we will simply find out, okay, why these infections are coming in your computer, okay, and why it is not blocked by your antivirus, okay. So what we are gonna do now, we're gonna simply do the short scan in this window black page, and once the scanning will be finished.
So do you see the command they're typing in over there? It's maybe a little bit small, but it's 3. It's a 3 command.
It will show you the result at the very, very last line. Why these things are happening in your computer and why these things are happening, okay? Once the scanning will be finished, it will give you the result in the very, very last line. Can you see, sir, the scanning is going on? Yeah, once the scanning will be finished, it will give you the result at the very, very last line. Once the scanning goes stop, it will show you the result, okay? Then it will find out why these things are happening in your computer and why you are facing problems. Once it will be stopped, it will give you the result.
It says internal protection expire, hackers 12.
Okay. Okay, 12 hackers and internal protection expire, right? I will explain you, sir, what happened, okay? Sir, internal protection is known as the mother protection of your computer and your internet management system, okay? Once this protection got failed, expire, that is why these errors and the warnings are there. That is why there are hackers present, and that is why, sir, you are facing problem. You understand? Because your mother protection got expired, and that is why there are 12 hackers.
12 hackers, yeah. So this is just, well, the start of all our problems we're going to have. We also have 3,600 errors in our computer. And, well, this is really a pattern you're seeing with all these call centers. So they're just showing things that are totally normal in your computer. So it's just, well, 3 output and they're typing in some stuff, and then it's just 12 hackers. It's all very normal. So they don't even do like technical tricks or install malware. Well, the same goes for the case of the 3,600 errors.
So first of all, you know that generally Microsoft Windows don't call the people. Generally, Microsoft Windows does not call the customer. But whenever Microsoft is giving this call to you, there must be a big reason regarding this call. The reason we are calling you because regarding this problem of your computer, nobody will able to help you from Netherlands. Nobody means no local technician, no computer engineer, no computer expert, no computer specialist. Only we can able to help you to solve the problem of your computer because we are the service provider of your computer and we are a Microsoft certified technician. The error and warning which we are receiving from your computer indicating that right now your computer is in danger at very high risk. If you don't solve the problem of your computer, so without your prime knowledge, your computer is able to crash down. So regarding this problem only we can able to help you. That is the reason we are calling you from Microsoft to solve and to fix the problem of your computer. You understood?
This is of course just the normal Windows event logs with errors and warnings that are present in every Windows computer. But yeah, it's probably likely that a non-tech savvy user gets really scared of all these errors and warnings and thinks, okay, there must be something wrong with my computer. And so this is like 45 minutes into the call, and you probably also notice that their tone, it becomes more aggressive. Nobody can help you, only we can help you because we are the Microsoft technicians. And in the end, so these are, well, just some of the examples of all the problems that we've got with our computer. In the end, they always have some kind of solution, of course, for your problems. So in most cases, they say, okay, your license is expired. So this is one.
Under your son's name, I can check the license. Are you? What can you see? Certificate? Now Microsoft. Now this is the license of your computer. This certificate has expired or is not yet valid. That is the reason we are receiving this much of complaint from your computer, and that is the reason right now this computer locked with a password. And that's why your all document is taken away and removed from your computer. Once you update the license, once you solve the problem, then you're able to get it back. You understood? Number one. Number two. Look on your computer screen. Verify. Verify is off. Okay. Now what is the meaning of verify is off? Now, so when you buy this.
Well, they showed some of the root certificates, and there's always an ever Windows computer one Microsoft root certificate that got expired, and then they say, okay, this is the license of your computer. What they also did was install a startup key. So if my computer reboots, you need to insert that password. But well, I as a customer don't have that password anymore because they did it while we were watching. So I will now also be unable to reboot my computer and get into my computer again. And what they also did is delete all of my documents. So they actually got in with the My Documents folder and, well, just trashed everything and just, well, not put it in the trash bin, but really shift, delete, poof, all gone. So you probably won't be able to, well, recover from this at all if you don't have the proper backups. Yeah, and the third step, after they installed the remote access tool, showed us all the problems, is the payment, because of course they have the solution for our problems is well, some kind of license we need to renew or buy. And this is we saw different payment methods, so and different prices. So this is one of the plans we got offered. So we could buy a new Microsoft license. So we could buy a 8 years or lifetime license for €499. So this one is rather expensive. And there are also cheaper ones. So that got us a 5-year license for only €20. But when we played along, they told us, okay, yeah, it's actually €10, but well, Microsoft is a large company, so what you need to do is actually send us €200, and then we will transfer the €180 back. Well, probably not going to happen, but anyway, and what we wanted to do is make the payment through our MaxBank online banking environment. And the attackers ask you to log into your online banking while they're still watching. So what we've heard from different victims is that if you're actually going to do that, when you're typing in the amount in your ING or Rabobank banking account, they will try to type in a couple of extra zeros in the amount, because well, they still have control of your computer while you're in the online banking environment. So that's very interesting. So as I already told, during the payment process, this is just the first screen, but we're going to ask all kinds of personal details of from the receiver of the money. But it turned out they really had a very good idea of the different banks that were active in the Netherlands. So they got really suspicious when we showed them the MaxBank website, and they started to ask, okay, don't you also have like ING or Rabobank? Or so they were really familiar with the banks we have over here. And they also came up with different explanations on why they couldn't use the MaxBank website. So this is one of the explanations. They say, okay, the thing is that the infections you have in your computer are also entered in your online bank account, so it's not safe to do online banking. So they're probably right about that one. But of course, they also offered us some alternatives. One of the alternatives was to use our credit card. So we said, okay, we don't have a credit card. And then the other alternatives were, okay, use Western Union or use MoneyGram. And they actually helped us in finding out the nearest MoneyGram or Western Union location. Okay, but well, this is really an anonymous payment method, so that wouldn't get us any closer to the actual criminals. So yeah, we got a little lost. Okay, what are we going to do now? And, okay, fuck this shit. We're going to do some other tactics. And do you remember the weird way that the connection was set up with first the Supremo and then the TeamViewer connection? And there's a button at the bottom of your TeamViewer session. It says, okay, change direction with your partner. So we thought, okay, that could be interesting. And that resulted in a very funny battle over the control over the mouse and keyboard. Well, let's take a look. Well, so this actually is well, as you mentioned, sped up a little bit, but it actually took like 10 to 15 minutes that we were fighting over the mouse and keyboard, and I didn't really understand what was going on. And I was shouting, "Yeah, it must be the hackers that are inside." And then basically, well, sort of fell for that, of course. And what I tried is, okay, to start up a browser and visit the MaxBank website on my own through their system, and even try to download an executable that, well, was a backdoor of our own. It was not a backdoor. It was the MaxBank banking agent that you need to install to make payments through the MaxBank. That didn't really work out because, well, the connection got broken all the time. But then we took a look at our web server logs, and we saw that, well, one of the requests actually came through. So we saw an IP address of the of our, well, victim or scammers. So, and yeah, what do you do if you see an IP address somewhere? You're probably just, well, going to check, well, what's running on that IP address. So we, well, started with a browser, and then we came over here. This is a firewall, the Cyber Roam firewall. I didn't well, heard of it before, but well, and it asks a username and password. So what would be like the first thing you try if you see it? Actually, username admin, password admin. We barely got in on, well, the first try. So this is a Cyber Roam firewall. It says all kinds of errors, and what you probably can't see over here. I think it's really funny. Their subscription got expired of the web applications filter and IPS module. So it's a funny side note. Well, yeah, that privilege escalated quickly. Yeah, we didn't really expect this, but then we also took a look at some other ports that were open on the same IP address, and then we found this well, interface. It's Go Auto Dial. We didn't even, well, didn't heard of it before, and it turns out that this is a Linux distro that you can install, and really has all the software you need to run a call center. Basically, it has a automated dialer, well, hence the name Go Auto Dial. It has a web interface. You can connect your VoIP systems to it. It has a complete CRM system. Very interesting. This is probably the main system that the call center is using. So we clicked around a little bit, admin login, admin. Admin, yeah, all right, yeah. again, yeah. And now we were able to go into the admin section, see all the agents that are connected to the system. So these are all VoIP agents. We can also see some campaigns that are actually running at the moment. And we can also see live call center action. So we can see 86 calls are being placed, 76 calls. 76 calls are ringing, 4 agents are waiting, 4 agents are in call. So this really gave us some very nice insights on how these call centers operate, and also on the number of victims that are being made. So the idea behind this is, okay, a lot of calls being placed at the same moment, and then if somebody actually picks up, it gets connected to one of the agents that are waiting for a call. And there was also a statistics section in the interface, which was a lot of a little bit more insights even. And we saw that in total about 5 million calls had been made, and this is really interesting. So the operator is able to mark a call with certain flags, and there are 1,511 calls that have been marked as a sale being made. So a sale as in, yeah, probably the customer that bought the subscription. So that's very interesting.
Were they all 20,080 callbacks?
The 20.
The callback. You were the 20,080 callbacks.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how they classified all those things. So there are also people that weren't interested. Entering machines, busy, auto connects. I'm not sure what the do not call. That's also very interesting.
So every 5 hours they have a sale, and on average it takes 25 minutes per sale.
Yeah, so that's also a bit of a little weird, as we were just saying yes to every question, and we got we're on the phone for at least an hour. Maybe there are people shouting, okay, well, just let me buy the thing. All right, yeah. Not sure about that one, but in the end, you were also able to get a list of all the phone numbers that were marked as a sale being made. So that was also very interesting. We'll come back to that later. But well, of course, we now really had some very nice info based on the information that was in the call center interface and also on the firewall. One of the interesting things is that this is the firewall screen again, and so there's a registered email address, cool729@gmail.com. So we basically didn't even try that. But we started Googling for this email address, and the first hit was a website on, well, I think it's sort of the India Kamer van Koophandel business directory, and it's Creador Infotech Private Limited, registered to this email address, and there's also an actual address over here, 49 Britton Street in Kolkata. So that's very interesting. And when we started Googling the company Creador Infotech Limited, we came, we landed on this website. It's the website of Creador Infotech Limited, and they're actually running a call center. So here they have all the office facilities they have in the call center, and one of their features is a server and Go auto dialer. Okay, so that's, and they also have a firewall, so we already saw that. This is another advertisement of the same place. So there's another name over here. Fully furnished call center available at Ripon Street. They have a firewall, a cyber roam firewall. That's also correct. And this is also interesting. So they charge, if you want to rent a seat at this call center, they charge 3,500 rupees a month. And so that's, I'm not sure what it was, but it's like 50 euros or something to rent a a working place there for a month. You probably only need like be successful one time, and then you're already starting to make a profit. So well, this is their location. So we know the location, we know the owner of the place. We have a list of all their victims. They came from the statistics interface. We know their address. So, well, let's go to India. And this is, we didn't went to India ourselves, but the journalist from Tros Opgelicht went to India with her instructions. Well, let's take a look what happens.
Het is een ware plaag en alleen in Nederland is van deze vorm van oplichting al meer dan 1000 keer aangifte gedaan. Hier gaat het om. Ze zeggen dat ze bellen namens Microsoft en dat ze je willen helpen met een computerprobleem. Maar niets is minder waar. Vorige week lieten we zien hoe het digitale spoor leidt naar een callcenter in India. En daar houdt ons onderzoek natuurlijk nog niet op. Tijd voor ons om naar India af te reizen en op zoek te gaan naar de eigenaar van het callcenter, Shabazz Hussain. We vinden op internet een advertentie van Shabazz. Hij verkoopt t-shirts en we kunnen duidelijk zien dat de foto's gemaakt zijn in zijn callcenter. Hetzelfde callcenter als waar de Microsoft scam vandaan komt. Er is dus geen twijfel meer mogelijk. We vinden ook zijn privé-e-mailadres. Wanneer we daarop zoeken, stuiten we op een forum waar Shabazz trots vertelt dat hij een Harley Davidson heeft gekocht. Een peperdure motor.
Main problem is the cases are not reported to us. I mean, something has happened to someone in Europe or USA or say Australia, but they're not reported to us. Maybe they might be reporting there to the local police there, but they shouldn't come to us. If it comes to us, then we can start an inquiry into it.
We hebben inmiddels ook contact met de buitenlandse collega's via de Nederlandse liaison voor dat gebied. Maar het gaat wat moeizaam, omdat ja, de samenwerking blijft altijd lastig, zeker op zo'n grote afstand.
The distance doesn't matter. Every information is available on internet. You want to know about this, our local police, Bidhan Nagar police. We are on social media also. You can search internet for our information also. At least you can send an email to us. If these things are happening, inquiry can be started. Or we may be aware of these things.
In de drukke stadsjungle van Calcutta gaan we op zoek naar het callcenter, begeleid door een lokaal contactpersoon.
Hey, छोटू इधर में कोई कॉल सेंटर है क्या? नहीं जानते। अच्छा अंकल इधर कोई कॉल सेंटर है क्या?
We vinden het gebouw en dan blijkt dat het callcenter zich op de eerste verdieping bevindt, zonder inkijk en met tralies voor de ramen. Het lijkt een onneembare veste.
I think this is the entrance to the building where the call center is run from. But I see 3 people coming, so I'm not going in right now.
Het is dus onmogelijk om ongezien het callcenter binnen te komen. We kiezen een andere aanpak. We laten op.
I will skip a little bit through the video because of the time. So what they did is, so this Shabazz, he sells t-shirts. So they made an appointment to buy some of his t-shirts. And in the end they made an appointment to, they agreed to meet him at one coffee place. And they, confronted him with the results of our investigation. And first, he denied, and then he sorry? Yeah, I don't think so, because they had some kind of hidden camera, and then in the end, here he tells us that he actually has stopped doing this, but
2,000 euros, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to me. It is to you too, right? speed. I'll tell you, we used to do it, but now it's stopped. I've been doing my garments business, and I've stopped it. I have no idea. If you want, you can talk to other people, but I don't do it now. It was a long time back, like 5-6 months now. I'm starting my business. Maybe you can check up again, but now you won't find anything. Well, 5 months ago, yeah, I told you. This report's for this 2 months ago. That's not possible. I'll show you. Here, this is might look familiar, right? This is your Dutch friends. Dutch friends, right? No friends. No, not friends anymore. No, because you scam them.
Well, anyway, he told that he actually did this, and but he wasn't stopped, and now he's selling illegal T-shirts, fake brand T-shirts probably. What we did in the end, we wrote down a report, also shared that with the team of Tros Opgelicht shared that report with the India police. We also shared this at the Dutch police. They try to work together on this issue, but the website is still live, the call center is still live, and they're not in jail. No, so nothing really much happened with this report. The Dutch police, they actually did a lot of effort, and they actually wrote a letter to 1,500 of the potential victims based on our report, and they actually were able to find a couple of formal complaints. Got in contact with the India police, and then nothing happened anymore over there. So, it's really a bummer.
Can you still log in?
No, they did change their firewall settings. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe. No, they closed down the entire web interface. So that's probably the intention of them after all. But they probably also thought that their web interface was closed and that these IP addresses were only accessibly local, because otherwise you probably won't use admin for your firewall in your main system and your call center system. So the lessons we've learned is, okay, cyber attacks don't always get more complicated. So this attack actually is making a lot of victims. So we're always talking about the newest kinds of malwares in our area, but sometimes it's very simple. It's really about social engineering. I guess raising awareness of these issues is probably the only defense. So we made a start by working together with the people at Tros Opgelicht, and we actually reached 1.5 million people that probably now know about these scams and how these people operate. But there's still a lot of work to do, of course. Well, if you do some effort, tracking these call centers down is feasible. But it's still difficult for law enforcement to take action. Cases are being underreported. International cooperation, we just saw it in the video, it's very difficult. They probably don't have all the right treaties between the Netherlands and India to make sure that these things are getting fixed. And there are also a lot of call centers in India, so that's probably just because, they can freely operate over there. So that's basically all I had to show. And it's now preset time, I guess. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I have like 2 minutes of this.
Yeah.
Why did you send files or keyword?
Why? Sorry? Why did I?
Why did you decide to send files?
So yeah. So that was really we had the connection that got disconnected all the time, and then we also there's also a file explorer option. So then we tried to see if there were some interesting files on their system, and to see if we could download some, but that probably also generated a pop-up at their side, and they also clicked that away. So we weren't really able to transfer any files. But in the end, only their IP address was more than enough in this case. But this is, of course, this is like one call center where this worked, and probably we've spoken to 4 or 5 call centers, and we saw some other interesting things at other call centers as well. But yeah, we probably needed to employ some other tactics if we also want to get to know where these other call centers were located. But well, at least we had success with this one. This is already enough for a good story, so we were quite happy with this one alone. Any other questions? Yeah.
How did you run the Windows machine? Were that real hardware machines?
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, so this we did actually everything in a virtual machine. Okay. Just well preparated with some documents and working Office suite and email addresses and all those things to make it really look real. And yeah, of course the nice thing about virtual machines is that well after each call we could just do a snapshot restore and then be ready for the next become victim of the next call center. Oh, now I really need to stop. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for the talk.
Yeah.
It was as good the second time as the first.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, are you hanging around all evening?
I hang just for the pizza. Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, yes. If you've got any questions, you can always ask them between pizzas. Yeah. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, and then for everyone else, yeah, we have pizzas, the water pizza over there. There are gluten-free ones and vegetarian ones. The vegetarian ones are difficult to trace, but the gluten-free ones are Domino's ones. We will warm those up because they turned up ages ago. Always early Domino's, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we will scatter these over there, throw some more beers out. You can hang around as long as you like, or until the little security man comes and kicks us out. And yes, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next month.
Yeah. I thought that you actually destroyed them, like bombed them or something.
Yeah, it's really frustrating that